Dear students, welcome to this lecture of Strategic Human Resource Management, and today we will be talking about Strategic Knowledge Management. And I am Dr. Tripti Barthwal. I am Director, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management and Development Studies, Lucknow. So, a little awareness about this concept you have already had in the previous lecture also. So, we discuss further the concepts of knowledge management. So, let us talk about knowledge sharing. Now, knowledge sharing is a critical component of knowledge management. Knowledge sharing is the process by which individuals exchange tacit and explicit knowledge in order to create new knowledge. Now, knowledge sharing can occur between individuals, within teams and across organizations. So, we already have discussed in the earlier lectures that knowledge is, there is some part of the knowledge which is very obvious, very expressed, which can be seen, which can be just transferred from one individual to another individual. But there is another part of knowledge which is the bigger part of knowledge and which is tacit in nature, which is not so easily expressed, not so easily visible. It comes from observation, it comes from working with closely with people who have that knowledge. So, this knowledge sharing, both expressed and tacit knowledge, this knowledge has to be shared between people and teams in the organization. Cognitive resources available to a team will be underutilized if knowledge is not shared. So, there will be no use of knowledge for an individual and also for the coming generations and the organization if it is not shared and if it is not utilized. Therefore, knowledge sharing is critical to team process that involves members interacting to share ideas, information and suggestions related to the team's task at hand. Now, another concept which is very important in terms of knowledge management is knowledge hoarding. Now, hoarding is a very common term, you must have heard about it. People hoard money, people hoard commodities, so that when it is the right time they will sell and get a lot of price. So, hoarding is a tendency to accumulate, unnecessarily accumulate or store things. So, similarly in case of knowledge, if it is hoarded, if it is accumulated and not passed or not shared among people, then the entire process becomes a failure. So, the opposite of knowledge sharing is knowledge hoarding. Knowledge hoarding occurs when an individual possesses knowledge that would be beneficial to their team members, but either refuses to share it or makes it difficult to access. So, there can be two parts of knowledge hoarding, that either the person says no, I will not part away with my share of knowledge, or he makes it so complicated that people are not able to understand, or he puts in so much of conditions that people are not able to access that knowledge. So, some employees hoard information because they feel a sense of job security when others consistently come to them for advice. So, many of the people, many of the employees of the organization will hoard knowledge because that gives a sense of importance. Then if you keep all the knowledge to yourself, then people come running to you in situations and they ask what should be done. So, it gives a person a sense of importance, a sense of recognition. So, one of the major reasons for hoarding knowledge is that only. And it also makes you more secure in terms of your job in the organization. It causes distrust among teams, kills any efforts being made to increase collaboration and cost the company valuable time and money. So, when knowledge is being hoarded, people are not sharing knowledge they have acquired in the process of working in the organization. What will happen? It will negatively impact teamwork, and the cost to the company will increase because new people will start making mistakes already which have been committed by their seniors or people earlier prior to them, because simply they have not shared their experiences, and lot of time and money will be gone in this. in some cases information sharing and collaboration is simply not encouraged. So, there are certain organizations which are very conservative about knowledge sharing. They do not want people to network, they do not want people to interact, they do not want to people to come much in touch with each other. So, there even the organization will become a barrier in knowledge sharing. So, that results in knowledge hoarding. So, we have already discussed that knowledge sharing is a very important component of knowledge management. So, how do we do it? So, when team shares knowledge, then there is creation of unique knowledge resources, and that results into superior team performance, and it leads to organizational competitive advantage. So, the purpose of sharing knowledge is to create a unique knowledge pool for the organization, and as a result of that, obviously the performance of the organization improves, the team performance improves, and as a result of that the organization derives a very clear competitive advantage over its competitors. Now, the factors which impact knowledge sharing. So, what factors kind of they lead us towards this? There is a kind of a you can say a continuum, right, between knowledge sharing and knowledge hoarding. So, if you go to one side, you move towards knowledge hoarding. If you move to other side, you go for more and more knowledge sharing. So, what impacts this knowledge sharing, and what factors the organization should keep into mind to encourage knowledge sharing? So, first very important factor is trust. Now, trust is an important ingredient to successfully creating, sharing and apply knowledge in teams. Actually, it is said that trust is one of the most important emotion, or you can say a feeling which one person can have for the other, right. And organizations which have lot of trust among members, where members trust each other, those organizations tend to perform much better in comparison to organizations where this element of trust is lacking. So, that trust should be there, that if I am sharing knowledge with somebody else, my team member, then I will be given due credit for it. The team member will use it properly, right, and he will feel he will acknowledge that he has got that knowledge from me. And similarly, the team member with whom I am sharing the knowledge should have that kind of a trust in me, that I am sharing the right knowledge, I am not deceiving him, or I am not sharing anything which is wrong, which is not valid with him, so as to land him in a trouble. So, trust is very important. Trust in teams becomes important when a team process like knowledge sharing requires interdependence, information sharing and collaboration, because knowledge sharing cannot happen in absence of, it will happen only when people are doing interdependent things, and lot of collaboration is there, lot of teamwork is there, then only you will require knowledge sharing, and that is why trust becomes all the more important. A trusting person will openly exchange useful ideas, collaborate, accept influence and impose relatively little control. So, when two people have lot of trust among themselves, then there will be a free flow of ideas, there will be no inhibitions of being judged or being mocked at. So, there will be free flow of useful ideas, there will be a lot of collaboration, and they will accept each other's views, each other's influence, and there will be absence of any coercion or pressure or anything like that. So, the first element which you can see, or the first factor which can encourage knowledge sharing is the element of trust. And what is the other factor? So, trust we have already discussed. Now, trust, it is said, as I already said, that it is one of the most important feeling which we can have for another person, and it is scholars believe that it is a bigger emotion and a more important emotion in comparison to love also, because a parent may love his or her child though they may not fully trust, because they have little doubt that whether they are speaking the truth or not, but love would be unconditional. So, trust is a much higher feeling than love. So, what is the other factor which will impact knowledge sharing? The other factor is, of course, the kind of leadership we have in the organization. So, trust and a combination of effective leadership will lead to the team sharing more and more knowledge among each other. So, trust we have already discussed. Now, we move on to the next factor, and that is leadership. Now, a leader is able to influence individuals to accomplish a group or organizational task. So, leader is a person, we have discussed about leadership also earlier, and leader is a person who has the ability to exercise influence over the team members to achieve desired objectives, those objectives which the members couldn't have thought of achieving, right, but the leader inspires them, the leader shows them the direction, leader motivates them, and leader guides them in such a way that they are able to achieve the goal of the organization. So, once trust has been established, and who will establish the trust also? A leader is also responsible for establishing the trust. So, once trust is established, then the knowledge sharing will start, and if there the leader facilitates this knowledge sharing even more, then it will happen seamlessly. So, knowledge sharing does not happen automatically in a team, and the team's leader has an important role to play in making it come about. As such, the attitude that the team leader has about knowledge sharing is critical. Now, if the team leader himself or herself is very insecure that how can I share too much of knowledge with my team members, because they will also become capable like me, and then what will happen to my position? In that case, knowledge sharing will not take place. But if the leader has an approach that my senior developed me, and now I should share my knowledge with my team members, so that the team in general performs very well, in that case the knowledge sharing is going to happen very effortlessly. So, team members serve as models by openly sharing information, trusting others, stepping into another's shoes, and providing constructive feedback. So, it is not merely the team leader's role is not merely restricted to creating an atmosphere of knowledge sharing, but also empathizing with people. If anybody has any issues in knowledge sharing or knowledge accessing, then the leader has to empathize and understand what is the problem they are facing, why they are facing a problem, and how that problem can be resolved, and also that where team members are not being able to do as thought or as planned, then in that case a constructive feedback has also to be given to the team members. So, knowledge sharing will increase when team leaders recognize individuals for their contribution of ideas and information. So, the more the appreciation is there, more the incentives are there, and more the leader publicly acknowledges and appreciates people and recognizes them for their efforts and contributions to knowledge sharing, more of knowledge sharing is going to happen. Now, apart from the factors which impact knowledge sharing, let us also talk about how to improve knowledge sharing competencies among people. Now, first thing is, this is all a part which the leader and the team leader has to take care of, that encourage that failures are a part of innovation and success. Promoting this message removes the fear employees may have and makes space for learning to happen. So, most people fear to try, to come up with new ideas, to share knowledge, because they feel that if something fails, something backfires, then they will be held accountable for it, then people will make fun of them and they may be reprimanded, they may be punished that they came up with this idea which kind of flopped. So it is very important to make employees comfortable, make them realize that it is failures and successes will be a part of coming up with new ideas, of being innovative, being creative. So when people feel secure that they don't have to worry about anything, only there has to be a free flow of ideas, then more and more ideas will come. People will be encouraged to share ideas among themselves, with their team leaders, and more learning is going to take place. If the office is full of cubicles, right, then that is physical, these are the physical barriers to knowledge sharing. Consider creating comfortable common areas where employees are encouraged to communicate and collaborate without distraction. So knowledge sharing will only happen when employees come more and more in physical contact with each other. So it is very important that there should be an area, there should be a place, there should be a hall or whatever you call it, where employees can sit together and they can freely communicate with each other. So if there are as has been mentioned, if there are a lot of physical barriers to knowledge sharing, then separate common areas can be created. Then reserve time throughout the week for employees to share and contribute knowledge. This way it becomes a habit. So this is also very important that like we have the concept of quality circles also, that every week maybe one day is marked for it, and maybe 1 hour from the working time of the employees. They are not asked to stay back after the work time is over, that would be a burden for the employee. So within the work time only, working hours only, 1 hour or 2 hours are allocated to this free flow of knowledge and information. So then it becomes a routine, then it becomes a habit, then people start thinking on those lines only, that every week I have to come up with an idea. So the brain sharpens, and lot of good ideas come up. Then regular retrospective meetings should be conducted where staff can raise what went well, issues and potential improvements. So it is not merely just a free flow of ideas and everything is finished. Regularly, maybe in 15 days or a month's time, retrospective meetings, feedback meetings should be conducted, that whatever ideas were implemented, what happened to those ideas and how well they fared, and where there were the problem areas, and how how we can any problem or any glitch which has occurred in those ideas, how we can work to resolve it. Implement an intelligence platform that can provide access to real time knowledge and expertise. So maybe many times physically people may not be able to meet. So in this time of information technology, another thing also can be done apart from allowing people to meet physically, that is also very important. But an intelligence platform can be created, and people, whenever they have an idea, they can update on the intelligence platform according to whatever the idea and expertise they have. So put collaboration over hierarchy. Everyone in the organization, regardless of their role, should co-create and co-share. So knowledge management is, or knowledge sharing is, or creativity is not the domain of people of a specific level in the organization, or people with a specific experience in the organization. Ideas, good ideas and creative ideas can come to anybody, and especially people who are working in a particular area, they are the best because they know the ground reality, they know they can come up with really nice and practical ideas. So collaboration should be above hierarchy, in the sense that who comes up with the idea is not important. What the idea is, how good it is important. So the senior should not feel jealous or insecure if the junior is coming up with an idea, because there is no question of hierarchy. So everybody, irrespective of their role in the organization, irrespective of their level in the organization, they should be allowed to co-create and co-share. then new employees may not feel as comfortable sharing ideas, opinions or information that could otherwise be valuable to the company. Because new employees still they are in the testing period, and they feel that if they come up with the wrong idea, then in that case their job will be at a question. So, they simply shy away from coming up with ideas. So, but their ideas, because they have just come to the organization with fresh mindset and a fresh approach, so they can come with real valuable ideas. So, they should be made comfortable, they should be made to understand that if they come up with good ideas, and even if they are not very practical or they cannot be implemented, still nothing will go against them. And here onboarding is a very important feature, or it is a very important process where you can make employees feel comfortable, make them realize that knowledge sharing is a very important ingredient or a part of the culture of the organization, and the more they come up with ideas, the better they will gel with the organization. Incentives can help kickstart collaboration and get employees more involved in knowledge sharing. Obviously, people who come up with good ideas, they should be given certain incentives for it. Otherwise, why will people put in their time and energy to come up with new ideas? However small or big those incentives are, whether it is a monetary incentive or a non-monetary incentive, but then some incentive should be associated with a good idea, with sharing of knowledge, so that it is encouraged in the organization. Otherwise, if we treat those who share knowledge and those who do not share knowledge equally, then gradually what will happen, that knowledge sharing will stop in the organization. So, incentives can help kickstart collaboration and get employees more invested in knowledge sharing, and incentives to employees who get involved in this can be in the form of a mention in newsletters, announcements, small prizes, etc. So, as I said, that it is not necessary that the incentives are only monetary in nature. Photograph on the notice board with the name of the employee, or in the newsletter, or on the website of the company, or whatever, a small gift from the company can go a very long way in improving the knowledge sharing competencies of employees. Then everyone may not be comfortable with the same mode of sharing knowledge. Now, suppose there is an employee in the organization who has good ideas, who has great ideas, but may not be very confident in standing up before everyone, standing up before let us say 50 odd people, and just explaining his or her idea, sharing it with everybody. He may feel shy of public speaking. So, in that case, we should have more than one mode of sharing knowledge or ideas. Some people may not be comfortable, as I said, with public speaking, others may not be very comfortable with technology, so they may not be able to share their ideas through IT. So, that has to be taken into consideration, the comfort level of people. So, someone may be expert public speaker or professional roundtable discusser, another may be very confident in written work and documents, graphs, etc. So, it is important to allow people to begin where they are comfortable. Then all the knowledge sharing cannot happen in the office, right, especially if there are virtual teams. So, in the for the last more than 1 year, the world has been working, most part of the world has been working from home. So, we have had the concept of virtual teams, and prior to that also in the IT sector, there was virtual teams were very common. So, in that case, we must also understand that all knowledge sharing will not happen and cannot happen in the physical space, right. So, there has to be knowledge, some part of knowledge sharing will also take place in the online world, and that is more challenging, because physically to make people comfortable with the concept of sharing ideas, is a little easier, but when it comes to online virtual mode, then people have their own inhibitions about it. So, MS Teams, Slack are some of the most common knowledge sharing tools where employees can share resources, webinars, business blogs, podcasts, and even their own videos sharing opinions on a particular topic. So, if a person has some kind of a constraint in speaking on through a virtual platform, then these resources, MS Teams and Slack can help employees to share their videos or some podcast which they have heard, and or they can create their own podcast. And this is how they can, even without actually speaking real time, they can share their ideas through these resources. So, now I hope that you have been able to understand the concept of knowledge, strategic knowledge management. We have already discussed that how important the concept of knowledge management is for the organization, because in the absence of knowledge management, the organization cannot make use of whatever experiences or knowledge is embedded in the organization. It cannot be shared among people, and then the organization loses its competitive advantage. Thank you so much.